right. Welcome to another episode of the Meshpoint podcast. Tonight, we're excited to have Jameson Croall. He is the interim head football coach at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. Coach, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Really excited to finally get on here and talk some ball.
So how is it, man? Are you interim head coach? What's going on? Man, you got a lot of hats on these days. What's going on?
A lot of hats. You know, it's one of those things. Be careful what you wish for. You know.
Yeah.
So now dealing with the budgets, dealing with the equipment, helmet reconditioning, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and when you add the federal government layer into it, it's even better. So
yeah, an extra form to fill out, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, why don't you kick us off, man? Talk about your playing. Where you played, high school, college, all that, and then your coaching journey, all the way up to being the interim head coach at Merchant Marine there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from a small town in Western Massachusetts, right near Springfield, where I went to college. East Long Meadow, it's called, the Spartans. So not great football, to be straight up. It's it's just that small town high school football, so it was a great experience. Obviously fell in love with the game there. Had some great coaches and also Springfield College graduates, a lot of them, probably why I ended up there. Went to Springfield College, who runs Triple. I know you've had, a few of those guys on between, I think, Greg Webster and Lou Conti and I think Jason McDonald, a bunch of us. So
yep. Yeah, I know.
So went to Springfield, started on defense, actually. Probably the biggest mistake in my career was choosing to go over to the defense, and it took them a year and a half to tell me hey, buddy, you don't move well enough for that side. So why don't you get over to the offensive line where you belong? So played 2.5 years at offensive line, was really the right fit for me. Played for Coach Sersulo when he was the offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. Now he's the head coach, as I'm sure you know. And then, was planning on being a high school, PE teacher and coach. And Coach C, I was in the office in the spring, my senior year, doing my student teaching and that stuff, and just popped in. And he kind of said, what do you want to do? You want to, teach, coach? He's like, you want to coach college? So with that, a week later, I had an interview at Maine Maritime up in Castine, Maine. And there was a Springfield guy up there, Chris McKinney, worked there for essentially a year, and was a tremendous experience. We won the conference, played an incredible conference championship game there, and then went to the playoffs, played Montclair State, and competed really hard with them. And I think we were 9-2 on the year. Was able to coach my own position, had the entire offensive line as a 22-year-old. There was a couple kids on the team older than me at the time. Went back to Springfield College and GA'd and attempted to get my master's at the time, which I did not succeed at. I was too focused on being a coach and didn't really put the value that I should have on getting that education done for free. But was able to finish it actually over the quarantine period and the pandemic. So at Springfield was able to coach a few positions in the 2 years I was there because there was some transition actually. So my first year I was fullbacks the whole season. In the spring began to transition into the A-back slot position. That's what we call it here. But that A-back position and studied all spring and coached all spring with the A-backs. And then Jason McDonald got the job at Navy Prep, and he was initially going to be quarterbacks. So I transitioned right over to quarterbacks there, being the last second year GA. So was able to coach quarterbacks and coach a really good player in Josh Carter there. So a really great experience and really got a really well-rounded kind of, option background, being an O-line guy and then coaching every position in the backfield. So, and then, was scrambling to find a job as a second year GA and even got a talk from Coach DeLong, who was the head coach there, well, if you need to come back and finish, there's a spot here for you. And, not what I wanted to hear after making, $2,500 a month or a year, excuse me, for, so not what I exactly wanted to hear, but, we had played Kings Point, the Merchant Marine Academy, when, my second year there, we put a hurting on them, and they had transitioned into the option, and got really fortunate that the offensive coordinator job opened. I interviewed and obviously did well enough to fool Coach Toop at 24 that I could do it. He took a chance on me, so been here ever since. 10 years, we've grinded it out and built something I think pretty good here. And very thankful for Coach Toop for taking a chance on me at that age. So now here we are.
That's awesome, man. So you're a roach, huh? That's great.
I am. Yeah. Yep. I am.
That's awesome.
So it's a little bit of a weird, it's a weird dynamic because now I got to compete against them. So it's kind of, I only know one, we only know one way, but I kind of got to separate myself a little bit,
Yeah. But those guys welcomed you at the convention thing. So you're good, right?
They always do that. Yeah. It's always more welcoming when they beat us. So
I bet.
It seems a little less welcoming when we beat them. So
yeah. Well, as we transition further, we always like to ask those questions about the guys that influence you the most, right? Who's a mentor, a couple mentors that you're going to lean on, when you got to make difficult decisions. And now that you're in the as the head football coach, I'm sure you'll have some questions for some guys. So talk about those guys.
Yeah. So I mean, Coach C has always been a guy, and I know I listened to when Lou was on here, Conti, and I know he said, he summed it up pretty much. So I don't want to, kind of re-harp it, but you can't say enough good things about what he does for young coaches. The things that, and he'll answer your call and he calls you to check in. And there's a million of us, and how he makes time to answer all those calls. And, everybody feels that relationship with him for a long time. And obviously as you get older, it starts to die out a little bit. But those first couple of years I was here, I mean, he was incredible for, just whether it was scheme questions, whether it was player, issue questions, he always answered the call, and it kind of gave me his insight and all those kinds of things. And then obviously Coach Toop, just from our relationship for 10 years, we've grown, the relationship has grown quite a bit. So I joked with him the other day, it's like, with retirement, I said, what are you leaving me in the will? Because I think I spent more time with you than any of your kids. So, so he's been a tremendous mentor, and just really watching him and some of the biggest stuff that I get from him is he's an alum at our institution. And that's something that I'll never have, so, to try to soak up as much of that, knowledge and wisdom, is of what to give the kids a little bit of slack on, what to really kind of drive home on them. Because I think, as you guys know, at these academies, it's a lot more than football, right? Yeah. So it's much more about recruiting the right person, the right kid. So his mentorship has been incredible. And then Lou Conti's been a guy for me for a long time that we never played together at Springfield. We never coached together at Springfield. He was a GA 1 year when I was a player, but obviously that's a different relationship. And for whatever reason, we kind of, I think we got together the first time in recruiting. We were both in Florida. We kind of linked up, and, we kind of just, became closer through that. And then I always give him a call, whether it's about recruiting or the game or, scheme stuff. It's usually very little about scheme, more than it is about relationships and those kinds of things. So.
Yeah. Is Coach Toop going to stick around, or is he going somewhere warmer, or what's
Coach Toop is going somewhere warmer. Yeah. So he's around. So he's here till end of July. He's retiring end of July. So he's helping out with, a lot of mission stuff, and he's helping me quite a bit with some, I've already been in his office and bounced some things off of him. And then, he's going to Dallas. His son's a firefighter in Dallas. he's always wanted to go somewhere warmer in retirement. It just, when his son went down to be a Dallas firefighter, he, that was kind of an easy spot for him. He's getting married this spring. And then, I'm sure there'll be grandkids at some point here in the near future that his wife will want to be around. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great.
And I got to go to the Army Navy game where it's over by the college game day experience. And I turn around and I see this royal blue jacket and a mustache. I was like, man, there's Coach Tooth, man. What a great dude.
The mustache is hard to miss.
I know. It's a legend.
Yeah, that's a fact. So, what a great game that is, right? I mean,
oh man, it was on the bucket list. Finally got to go and experience it, and Navy pulled it out, man. It was amazing. It was an awesome.
Incredible.
Game. Yeah.
That first big run, I was like, oh well, this game might be over. And then sure enough, I
was like, Army has this one in the bag,
Yeah.
Yeah. Buckled down.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the United States Merchant Marine Academy a little bit. Tell us about it, and it's there in Kings Point, New York, and the type of players you're looking to recruit.
Yeah, so North Shore of Long Island is where Kings Point is. It's in the village of Great Neck, really, which is like the Great Gatsby's, writes about it and that kind of stuff. Very wealthy area on the North Shore of Long Island. About 20 minutes from New York City, so we get a little bit of the best of both worlds from a standpoint of the kids. When they do get some liberty, they can hop on a train and they can get to City Field, they can get to MSG or into the city. But yeah, the Merchant Marine Academy is a federal academy. There's only 5 of us in the country, with Army, Navy, Air Force, and those other guys that we don't like talking a lot about, but the Coast Guard Academy as well. So it's a really incredible opportunity that a lot of people don't know about. A lot of people see USMMA on the chest, and it usually turns into a guessing game for what the M stands for. They usually figure out the US and the A. So it's an incredible spot where you have this a free education because it's the federal government, and your service can be in any branch of the service that you want if you go active duty, which usually about 30% of our graduates do. The other 70% we do is we're training young people to work on merchant vessels. So they're either going to be a ship's engineer or a ship's captain, in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, they don't jump on and be a captain right away. But we train them in marine transportation, which is the deck side of things, and or marine engineering, which is essentially a mechanical engineering degree on a ship, and everything related to marine and water. So it's a really unique spot where when these kids graduate, if they choose to go into the private industry, they can live where they want, they can do what they want, they can change jobs. It's not a military, service. It is a private institution or a private industry, and they make a ton of money, and they're very successful. And the caliber of kid we get here is a really strong academic kid, and it's a really well put together kid that has this foresight that can see down the road, right? It's I think the easiest way to equate it would be to preseason for football, right? And there's not many players who like preseason for football, but they understand what it does for the season, right? They understand the preparation that it puts in, and how it can lead to your success if you make the best of it. So the academy is the same way. You come in for indoctrination. It's an 18-day boot camp, essentially. Physically demanding, mentally demanding, and then socially demanding nowadays, right? They take their phone away, they take the computers away. No screens for these kids is a big adjustment. Most of them, it's crazy to say, like, I remember I think I got a cell phone my senior year of high school, and these kids get them in 5th, 6th grade now. So it's a big transition for them. So if you can't have that look down the road kind of mentality, where I understand what this is doing for me, why I'm getting yelled at, why I'm putting on a uniform, why I'm squaring corners and carrying my bag at my side 6 inches from the curb, then you're going to struggle. Obviously the kid that we get usually has a great grasp of that, right? And can see down the road and understand, okay, when I come out of here with no debt and I'm making $90,000 a year, I'm going to be pretty good. When they're buying a house at 25, But that isn't the easiest thing for a 17, 18-year-old kid to understand, right? What they hear is military, and they know they're not partying and going to toga parties, which I don't think those exist anymore, but on Friday nights, so.
Yeah, and I can vouch for you guys. You guys do a great job. I sent you a couple guys. We talked about it at the convention. One, great. The other, knucklehead, but he ended up all right. So
yeah, he sure did.
So, but they're both doing good. I texted them before to let them know I'll be talking to you. They told me to tell you hello. So we keep in touch quite a bit. So even Stoner told you even Stoner said he loved you.
I love Ian Stoner. He just made my life a little bit more difficult every now and again.
Well, probably more than every now and then, but yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. But he's a great kid. And like you said, it's those are the kids that you really remember, from a standpoint of if you told me when that kid was a freshman he was going to fly jets, and I would have said you're crazy,
Yeah, I would have too.
He, for that payoff for him, he always wanted to do it, or said he wanted to do it, and then he finally kind of put it together, and obviously he's having a tremendous amount of success. So
yeah.
Very cool. Well, hey, Coach, read an article yesterday about your offense from 2021. It said that you guys finished first place ranking in rushing offense with 387 yards per game, and you finished the season with a record 9 wins. Can you tell the listeners kind of what to expect offensively? What your offense kind of looks like?
Yeah, so we're under center, flex bone option. I think where we are a little bit different is our formations are vast. We probably go in the amount of formations we have. I probably lost count of. In the playbook, we go into each week probably with close to 20 different ones. And they're not different, but it's 3x1, it's 3x1 condensed. It's kind of all those things. Whereas a lot of times you'll see some of the other guys, they might have one of those that they're mixing in with just their spread looks and things, and maybe they're nasty formations or flex formations. So that's where we, I think, differ a lot. And then obviously we're up tempo, which is very unique, I think, to the offense. You don't see a lot of. This year we averaged 77 plays a game. The last 3 or 4 years, that's low for us. That's low because fortunately we were in the lead a lot of those games, so we didn't need all 4 quarters. The last 3 or 4 years we've been upwards of 87, 88 plays a game.
Oh wow!
And we've had some games with 100 plus plays, which those are pretty physically demanding. So what we really pride ourselves on, I don't think anybody's going to look at our roster or our unit and say they're the biggest. They're certainly not going to say we're the biggest. They're not going to say we're the most athletic, and they're not going to say we're the strongest. But I think we're probably one of the most well-conditioned teams in the country. To run 100 snaps of flex bone in a game. And not sub an offensive lineman, not sub the quarterback, not the only positions we really roll are wide receivers and those A-backs are our slots, what we call them. So and then I think another unique thing for us is we want to be really effective in the passing game, and we rep our passing game a little bit more, and it's nothing earth shattering, right? But we have we use it a little bit to a counter effect. Throwing a lot of backside routes. We throw a lot of quick game. We want to be really efficient. And I think we were first in the country in passing efficiency, and not because we were, 1 for 1, we were probably 8 for 10 a lot of times. And, we had a couple bad games still, and we're always going to have those as option teams. Right. But, it's something that we want to be effective in. So
now when you're talking about your tempo, are you're full no huddle? Are you huddle with a sugar explode? Or is it all
full no huddle?
Okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
Full no huddle. We don't even practice huddling, and I think we do day one just in case. But even when we take the air out of the ball, we don't even bother huddling. We just kind of hang out until I call the formation in, and then we get on the ball and go. That's our procedure now. So
I got you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, I think we'd be remiss. You may not want to talk about it a whole bunch, but we definitely got to talk about the rivalry, man. We got to. Well, what's it like? What's it like to have a rivalry with Coast Guard, right? Like you said, there's only 5, right? Academies, right? And so that's the big game.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. It's really tough to describe. I remember when I interviewed, the cup was in the office and Coach Toop, kind of pointed, he's like, that's the game. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like they're like, yeah, great. That's the game. But it's not, there's a couple, I think, there's Cortica and there's a couple of those games in Division III. I think we rival all of them. And the thing that's unique about it is both of our schools are very small, so we have 1,000 kids on campus. Coast Guard, I think, has a few more. So it's this very tight knit rivalry. It's this very, for us to have 10,000 in the stands or close to it is pretty impressive if you really think about it. It's 5 years of both groups being there. Every student came is how you have to look at it if you really think about it. So it's very difficult to kind of wrap your brain around as a high school or Division III. Okay, I've seen big rivalry games in Division III. They're not really, but we've been getting a ton of press from them, and ESPN has done a tremendous job when they came in. They've done a tremendous job of covering it and giving us the respect that I don't know if we deserve, but showing the kids the respect of covering it like a real big time game. And it's just a phenomenal thing to be a part of. And when you look out and there's these kids that have made decisions that I never made those decisions to serve our country, to sacrifice the traditional college experience, to do something more important and more, of more value. It's really special to be a part of it. That feeling in pregame it's eerie, and as I've progressed here and gone year by year, it's meant more and more to me to be a part of.
I'm curious. When we talk to the guys from Springfield, they typically play their rivalry game first, right? With West New England, right? So, are you guys? When do you? I'm always curious with rivalry games. When you play it, first, last, then middle, in the middle.
So we were not in the same conference my first couple of years here. I think probably the first 3 years I was here. So we played them first or second. Those 3 years. It's
crazy, man. It's just to me to be, you know what I mean? Like to kick it off.
Oh yeah.
God, summer you must be like, a crazy game planning for it. You know what I mean? Like, cause that's the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the game.
Yeah. It's nuts.
And it's the first one. Like, that's crazy to me. Yeah.
When it was the first one, it was nuts from a standpoint of, there's a lot, the kids put a lot into those games, our alums put a lot into those games. So if you ever didn't win it on an early, which one of those times we didn't, it puts a damper on the, it's tough to rebound that next week. So you can say whatever you want. Oh yeah, forget about it and move on. But when it's that big a game, it doesn't happen that easy. And then now we're now in the same conference in the new MAC, and we have an agreement that will always be the last game. So now it's towards the end of the season, it makes it it's
build it up, right?
It's a big build up. Yeah, and then so it's a big build up.
Good.
That's awesome. I got to watch that recently, right before I went to Army Navy game, and man, ESPN did a great job. You're right, covering it. It was a big time game, and you guys did awesome. I mean, you guys put on a freaking clinic. I mean, I loved it. I
appreciate it.
I was breaking it down. I love the 4-man surface stuff that you guys did, man. That was awesome. You don't see that, a lot.
Yeah,
I thought you guys.
Yeah, we actually did. I appreciate it. That was actually so I had a senior offensive lineman that didn't play. We didn't have one injury in the offensive line. He was a backup, and I felt like he deserved to be on the field for that opening drive. So it wasn't solely that. We certainly thought in the game plan that it was, there was value to the formation and there was value to looking to try to impose our will early by running the thing downhill at them. But that was a huge part of it was we wanted to stay in that formation, drive it down the field and score with him on the field because we felt like he had kind of earned that. So great kid, Kenny Rosal, by the way, from Michigan. So.
Oh,
that's cool, man. That's really neat. Well, Coach, talk about we're interested in how you're the offensive coordinator, but the offensive line coach as well. And I think I read that you do B-backs also. And was it Brenton Davis, coach from Army? He's a O-line OC coach as well. You know what I mean? How do you are you going to continue in that in those roles? You think moving forward, and then also maybe talk about being on the field versus being in the press box. You know what I mean? That kind of situation.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start at the beginning there. The thing I'll tell you is if you look at our numbers over the years, and we've recruited some better players, but we've improved greatly since the arrival of James Kickle, our quarterbacks coach. And really he's in his meeting, he has receivers, slots, and quarterbacks. So he runs pretty much all the skill guys, and he was a free safety in college. He also went to Springfield College. When he GA'd, he worked on the offensive side and coached QBs. So you'll see a huge uptick from his arrival, and that's because we have a really good relationship from a standpoint of on game day. I'm in the booth. I see things through the front seven. He sees everything through the back seven, in the back half as a free safety from the box. So that's why our passing game's improved. It's why we've been more explosive. And I have a great trust in him. When he tells me to run something, we run it. So just from a standpoint of, being the O-line coach and OC is great. And that's how I see things. I see gaps and fits and, hey, there's a bubble there. Let's go hit it. And he sees that back end a lot better than I do, frankly. So that's been a huge, win for us. And I'm hoping he's going to stick around. So as far as the future's concerned, right now our hiring's a little messed up with the government budget. So, we'll see kind of how hiring goes. Coach Kickle can call the offense tomorrow. That's not an issue. It's more he needs the support. He needs somebody else that he can lean on because he should stay in the booth because that's where he sees it best. So he needs somebody down the field that he can trust with him. And right now it looks like it'll be me and him again, next year. So I'll probably stay calling it for a year. That's the plan. And then once he gets a full, staff or at least another full-time assistant, with our part-time guys, then, he'll be set up for success to be able to take it over. So there's no doubt he knows that's all we do is sit in the office and talk game plan and that stuff. So, but being an O-line coach and a head coach is difficult. There's a lot of indie time. So we're certainly looking to transition a little bit in the future, once hiring will allow us to do that.
Well, Coach, I'm interested to hear about how you guys practice, like length of time, like how you organize it. I'm sure there's probably some time constraints, I would think, right? At an academy, you only got a certain amount of time. So I would assume you got to be pretty efficient. So I think the listeners would really benefit from, you talking about just your organization and stuff. Yeah.
So we're, as an academy and our academy more than the others, and no slight at the others, but we're far more academic. We're on a trimester system. Our kids go out to sea their sophomore and junior year. So we cram essentially 4 years of a bachelor's degree in education into being 3 years on campus. So they're taking sometimes these kids are at 21 and a half credits, 19 credits, so it's a grind for them. So at the end of the day, we essentially have from 1600, 4 o'clock, 4:05, for 25 minutes, we do our meetings. Half hour to get taped and dressed, all that kind of stuff. On the field at 5 o'clock. We're on the field for 2 hours including stretch. We're off the field at 7 o'clock. Usually we're off the field a couple minutes before that. So we do not go over, because if we go over, they don't get fed. So it's there is no run it again
Right.
practices
Yeah.
for us.
Right.
We better be really efficient in our time and use it productively. So everything that we do is pretty much short term, and high intensity. And we do a really good job, I think, of being really intense and getting a ton of reps at stuff, and then slowing it down and coaching through, their rest essentially, and then cranking it back up with another high tempo drill. I think, Matt, you were at the skills and drills that Coach Kickle did.
Yep.
Yeah, and he demonstrated one of the drills that we worked our Meshpoint drill, or ride and decide drill into a high tempo drill where, some days it's a quarterback focus, where the quarterback's working 3 different footworks, rapid fire. And then other times it's the fullback that's getting, those 3, they're going back to back to back. And that's to work our conditioning. And it's to get as many reps in as we can and be able to coach them up. So
yeah, it was a good drill. It really was.
Yeah,
definitely. A lot of reps.
The tough part for us is, it's always, I know a lot of high school guys can't afford to do the up tempo because they got guys playing both ways. And,
Right.
That's where we'd love to be able to help high school guys out a little bit more with some stuff. But a lot of what we do is built off of that. So, and then organizationally, it's indie group team. We service each other. We don't have a big roster. So, our starting offensive line are giving look for the defense,
Right.
Which I think creates that competitive mindset. And we're getting ones-on-ones on a regular basis, we'll hold the quarterback out here and there, but we'll also, if the quarterback runs and scrambles around, we'll let them take some looks. Obviously, we're not going live on the quarterback ever.
Right.
So, but
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was curious too, like, when you're doing maybe you're in group or pod or whatever, I forgot to ask him this. Are you guys more bags? Are you more bodies? Like, what do you?
Almost exclusively bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of figured, looked into the drills, but
Yeah.
I forgot to ask. That was one thing I forgot to ask him.
Yeah. Almost exclusively. We've, probably my second year or third year here, we had lost some guys. Maybe it was my second year. In preseason, we lost some crucial guys, and our depth is just never strong. We develop our guys from freshman year on, and there's some guys that come in and play like a Tolson Smith this year comes in and he's rookie of the year, and that's great. We're not going to make a living on those guys. We're just not. We're going to get guys that work hard, that trust us, believe in the offense and buy into the offense and develop into really good football players. And when you get a starter banged up and, that guy you're planning on developing for another 2 years has to play, really hurts the development process, in my opinion. And obviously he's not ready to go. So, those from that, we really went away from, we go live maybe twice a preseason, and then that's it for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
We're working our, tackling, our cut block, all that stuff. We're working on bags.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest fear people have is they won't be able to, they feel, right, that the kids won't have the physicality on Friday, Saturday night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you, make a point of emphasis to be intense while you're doing it, you know what I mean, Tony? Like we hear people talk about the intensity level of doing the drill, right? But basically, when you're going, give max effort, even though you're on the bag, right? And you kind of train yourself, even though you're not getting that, shoulder and a hip or, putting your screws on a guy, you know what I mean? But if you kind of coach them through the intensity part, you end up getting it. Don't you feel? I mean, yeah.
If you're asking me, the other thing, I said people will say we're conditioned. I think they'll tell you we're physical. you know, and I remember a couple, you know, we weren't very good. It was probably my third year, and we were in the Liberty League at the time, and somebody came up to me from RPI, and they were good at, you know, they're year in and year out. They're always a good program.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, have you ever seen like the stat that, you know, the win-loss percentage the week after someone plays you is like, you know, like 20% or something?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I don't care about that. I want to get the win." But, you know, they were saying because of how physical we played, you know, they were having a hard time bouncing back the next week. So yeah, I mean, if you coach with great intensity,
yeah,
and the drill makes sense, and the drill is working the skill properly, yeah, I don't think there's any lack of physicality. I really don't.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that's just my opinion. It's I know there's guys that go live every single day, or you know, every Tuesday, Wednesday. But, you know, it's just not something we felt has brought value. So
yeah, I think you can do it. I mean, I think you can practice the bags, and as long as you're intentional with what you're doing, I think you can get what you want out of it. So yeah.
Coach, I had a history question real quick. You mentioned something earlier, and I forgot to ask you. When you first arrived there at Merchant Marine Academy, you said they weren't triple option?
They were for two years.
2 years.
They had transitioned, for 2 seasons. So you know, pretty basic in everything that they were doing, but all the fundamentals were there. You know, so I was just able to kind of come into and kind of gradually add. It was actually a really great situation, you know, because there wasn't a bunch of stuff, right? Like there wasn't a bunch of built-in, hey, these are our complementary plays. These are this, you know, it was really kind of the basis of the offense. And then I got to build that other stuff around it. So.
Yeah.
Very cool. I don't know why I assumed that they were triple option, you know, like the forever, you know what I mean?
That's I couldn't tell you, you know, I know, you know, back in the 90s when they were having success, they were running a lot of power eye stuff. You know, they had a couple good tailbacks in those years that they fed the rock to quite a bit. So
Coach Toot ended his career, man, in the flex phone. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool.
That's right. That's right.
That's pretty cool. Well, Coach, I had just one last question, and I don't know if Matt, if you got anything else, but I was just curious about all the hats you wear, man. You know, you think about guys in high school where I coach, you know, they're, man, I want to be a college coach one day, you know what I mean? And then I saw here an interesting fact of all the different things that you got to do, man. It says at the academy, you have multiple things, including the weight room management, teaching PE courses and self-defense, and working event management and numerous home contests and stuff like that. And I was like, holy crap. In addition to coaching football and recruiting, and man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a bit. There's probably some that are left off of there. So you know, like I said, we're a small school, so there's a lot of things that need to get done. That you know, this has to be a passion, right? Like if you're counting your hours and dividing by your salary, then you're in the wrong line of work, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I teach 3 classes, you know, right now I'm teaching 3 self-defense classes. Like you said, weight room management, that's something I'm trying to transition out of. I've put my time into, but at one point I was chairing the curriculum committee on campus. You know, event management for lacrosse is our main, you know, but then we're always helping with, you know, a basketball game that's on over the holidays, or a wrestling tournament that's over winter break, you know, things like that. And then, you know, in our school, there's a million other things that come up. You know, the vans need to be moved. You know, we got to help shovel the tennis courts, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's not a place where you can just coach ball. You know, so for, you know, there's a lot to be said for that. I'm sure it's great to be able to sit down and only worry about football and recruiting.
Yeah.
But you know, there's value in being a part of the rest of the stuff, because the kids see us involved in all that stuff, you know, so they know as they're grinding it out, so are we. We're doing this other stuff. And then you get a chance to meet, some kids other than your players, that we have some good ones around campus. So it's fun to be able to engage with them, and especially at an institution that, they require the kids to come to the football games and do those kinds of things. So, when we show up to command inspection, they at least see that we support them through the regiment as well. So, I don't know if that answered your question, but
yeah, man, it
Yeah.
sounds cool. It sounds cool because, like, a lot of times I've been in places where football exists separately from the school. It seems like, but you guys are very interwoven. It sounds like, with the whole student body and the faculty and the whole 9 yards, the community. You know what I mean? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And you know what it is? There's something us football coaches need something to get away from football too. If you let me think about football all day long, I'd have so much stuff in the playbook that wouldn't be worth running. I'll tell you, that we wouldn't end up running but we'd spend hours drawing it up and, troubleshooting it, and it would look great on paper. And then that, second day of practice, it probably wouldn't look very good.
Yeah.
So,
well, teaching self-defense has got to be pretty fun, I would think.
It is a fun course, and it's, for us, I think it has a lot of value. These kids go into ports at 18 years old, foreign ports that, they're immediately going to be a target because they're going to see an American, they're going to think they have money, or, know they have some sort of money. So there's some value to it. And yeah, it's fun. I get to learn, I learn through it, you get some jujitsu and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's no complaints.
We always wrap it up, Coach, with with a drill you think is really important for the offense, and talk about it a little bit. One you think, hey, if you're out there and you're running this thing, or if you're installing it, for the first time, something you couldn't do it without this drill. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard. There's like 10 of those, right?
Right.
And I want to be unique. I don't want to give you ones that, perimeter drill is probably the most important drill in my opinion, right? Because you're working mesh, you're working the blocking on the edge. That's the most important. I think anything where you're breeding, you have to train the mentality of this offense. You have to. You have to train the physicality, the mentality. So whatever drill you're doing, and maybe this isn't really answering your question, but you have to be intentional about it. You have to be getting after the guys. No running back wants a block. It's that simple. And by the time they leave your program, that better be what they take the most pride in. Right, because our best guys at A-back and receiver, like by the time they're seniors, they don't even want to carry the ball. They want to go kick the out of the corner, or the safety, or go insert and croak a linebacker, whether it's a cut block or taking them high. So to me, whatever those drills are, you really have to breed that downhill attack mentality. And it's got to be in every drill that you do. All the physical drills, right?
Yep.
So, you can slow it down and teach, but anything where you're doing anything physical, it better be with a purpose.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely.
I kind of roundabouted your question there. I didn't give you a specific one, but
no, that's all right, Coach. We're good.
Yeah.
I think you got to drive home your point, right? That's the bottom line. So that's good. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on. It was great.
That's it. That's all we got.
That's all we got, man. We want to wish you the best of luck as you transition through as interim, and hopefully, you're still kicking along here. Not run ragged here soon. So.
No. It's all good stuff, right? It's all good challenges. It's all it's all those things you hope and dream for. So it's I'm fortunate that it's kind of a lot of people it gets handed to them overnight. I've had some time to prepare for it throughout the season, knowing Coach Stoop is going to step down. Now Coach Stoop's in the office still, so I can bounce things off of him. So it's very fortunate. It's kind of a soft handoff. So
yeah, that's good. That's awesome.
Coach, I wish you the best of luck, man.
All right, I appreciate it, guys, and thanks for all the stuff you do for the offense, man. We need more advocates. So, come watch a game and explain to the parents why we're running it on 3rd and 7.
We'd be happy to.
Well, we'll get you out. We gotta, if you want to freeze your butts off in November watching the Coast Guard game.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah. Your parents might not want us to come back, but we'll tell them why.
That's okay. Man, that's great.
Yeah.